Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 5th episode of WWE Talk With Me. We have a jam-packed episode today with the season premieres of Raw, NXT 205 Live, and Smackdown. Let's get straight to it. The Raw season premiere. It was okay. I just want to throw a few comments here and there before the review. First of all, can we please get rid of Jerry Lawler? Every time he opens his mouth, I just want him to shut up. The pyro was cool, but it was only used once or twice, and let me tell you, I love the new Titantron. That thing was absolutely awesome. But the overall episode was a lot less than it was built up to be. Let's just get to the review. The show started off really strong. Rey Mysterio made his way down to the ring to talk about his match later tonight when the Beast arrived and absolutely demolished him. Lesnar then made his way out of the ring and began to deliver a beatdown to Rey's son, Dominic. This went for a good 15 minutes before Rey and Dominic went to the hospital. Our first official match of the night was Sasha Banks vs. Alexa Bliss. The man Becky Lynch joined the commentary for a few minutes before standing on the table where Jerry Lawler continuously repeated for a good 5 minutes. The match was okay. Nothing spectacular, but I think the ending was good. Sasha acted as though she was calling for Bayley to distract Bliss and take the win, only for Becky to storm down to the ring and unload. As usual, Sasha ran away from the fight, but on Sunday, there was nowhere to run. Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler versus Heavy Machinery. You know, I really thought this was it. I thought that this would be Heavy Machinery's big break. First episode of Raw, perfect time to have a tag team title change. Instead, we got an amazing match from Heavy Machinery, a bit from Roode and Ziggler, and boom, Heavy Machinery has lost, what is this, their 4th title shot? I really love these guys, and they really deserve a pair of titles. It's okay. I'll just wait for Otis to become world champion. Miss TV, oh boy. Let me start you here. You guys have heard me complain about all the Legends' return, but I will give them the benefit of the doubt here. Number 1, it's really cool to be there and see these guys. Number 2, it's season premiere, so I don't blame them. Number 3, Crown Jewel is coming up, so obviously we're going to see them. But Flair hardly knew where he was and just kept talking over people and mumbling. It was pretty bad. These two rambled for a bit and teased one last match before The Miz announced that the Crown Jewel would be a Captain's Challenge tag team match. Seth Rollins then made his way out and was confirmed to be the captain for Hogan's team, and Randy Orton was to be the captain for Ric Flair's team. Rollins and Orton got into it, not before Corbin arrived to aid the Viper. I kind of like this pair. I'm into it. Then, none other than Rusev made his way out to help the Beast Slayer. Alright, so as of Monday, September 30th, there have been 3 matches officially announced for Hell in a Cell, yet we're already getting Crown Jewel build-ups. Whatever, I don't want to get into it. Rusev then had an interview where he was asked about Lana, but he would stay quiet. The Bulgarian Brute then claimed that Seth owed him one, and that he would be challenging Seth for the Universal Championship. Okay, so Mysterio goes through a 5-man elimination match, but Rusev just helps Seth out. I really don't agree with the way title matches are handed out in the WWE. We had another rematch between the Viking Raiders and the OC, a pretty good match. In the end, it was the Viking Raiders who won. But are Gallows and Anderson ever going to get back on their feet? Because at this point, it's just making me mad. The Cesaro and Ricochet rivalry was revived, and these two had another one of their fantastic matches. In the end, it was Ricochet who began to build back up and left Cesaro in the dust. This week's Go Home Firefly Funhouse was alright. Not as good as some of the others, but it began with the cast all afraid of what was going to happen to Seth Rollins on Sunday when Bray Wyatt reassured them that The Fiend would be fine. Rollins, on the other hand, may not survive. He explains that no one ever really leaves Hell in a Cell. I'm really hoping this is a good match and that nothing interrupts it, because at this point I need The Fiend to become Universal Champion. After Cedric attacked Styles last week, he apparently earned himself another US title shot. My heart was beating so hard through this match. Every time AJ was down, I was so scared and thought it was over. Another fantastic match by these two, but in the end it was Styles who stood tall with his United States Championship. Lacey Evans versus Natalya 3, a rivalry that's been built up for a few weeks. Honestly, this match impressed me a little bit. Lacey Evans took the win, which was expected since she was the only one who had matches the past few weeks. Natalya's been nowhere to be found, but maybe this means she'll actually be built up for something real. Main event time. This is a lot to unravel. The Rusev-Rollins match began, back and forth they went, while Orton and Corbin stood at the end of the ramp watching. But then, a few minutes towards the end, I heard a familiar theme. I couldn't put my finger on it, but then I saw the enormous cranium, and I knew Bobby Lashley had returned. He looked at Rusev and then motions towards the entrance multiple times, making the segment a bit awkward, because he missed his cue multiple times. Lana's intro hit, and she came out. The question everyone's been asking. But then Lana and Lashley began to kiss right in front of Rusev, so I guess with Leo Rush being back in the Cruiserweight division, Lana will be Lashley's new manager. Can't wait for that. Meanwhile, the whole time I'm waiting for The Fiend, and with 1 minute left, the lights finally go out, and in a rushed manner, The Fiend arrives to deliver one last mandible claw to Rollins before Sunday. This Raw was pretty bad and just stupid in my opinion, and definitely deserves the very low score of a 4 out of 10. NXT, on the other hand, was fantastic and had some great character work. The show began with what we all assumed was the main event, Matt Riddle vs. Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. This match had me on the edge of my seat. It was a pretty awesome match with some great work from both men. Of course, Cole retained, but then, something nobody was expecting happened. Finn Balor arrived. Finn Balor! I guess the Fiend scared him all the way back to NXT. I cannot wait for this rivalry. Just a quick little side note. Balor made some comments after the show about possibly needing a team to fight the Undisputed Era. Here's what I think should happen. On the second episode of Smackdown, during the draft, you have the OC get moved to the Blue brand, have Styles lose to someone like, just as an example, Aleister Black. The following week, on Smackdown, have the OC move down to earn their fourth member in the form of Finn Balor. This would be perfect. OC rivalry with the UE, and in NXT, Gallows and Anderson can finally earn their name back. It's absolutely perfect, and I need it to happen. Please, WWE, I need it. Velveteen Dream returns, and more importantly, his couch has returned! Yes! And claims that he wants a rematch for his North American title. I love that little thing he does at the end where he snaps and the lights go out. We then had what I thought would be a quick little 5-minute match, but turned into one of the best matches of the night. Io Shirai vs. Mia Yim. Fantastic. These women were all over the ring pulling crazy tricks. In the end, Shirai won and began her climb back to the top. Johnny Gargano finally had his match against Shane Thorne. I guess the match was good. To be honest, I've only seen Gargano's pay-per-view matches and have no idea what his TV stuff looks like, but I thought it was good. Obviously, Gargano won. The match for the NXT Women's Championship, Candice LeRae versus Shayna Baszler. Wow, Candice LeRae is amazing. During this match, there was a really quick minute where I thought Baszler might lose, but in the end, Baszler locked in her submission hold and retained her title. Pete Dunne took on Danny Burch for a quick build-up match, and my only issue is Burch won 2 matches last week in a tag team with Oney Lorcan, but his first match on his own and we're just going to chop him down? I feel like somebody better could have been chosen here. The lights then went out and Damian Priest arrived. Finally, we're doing something real with him. Another rivalry I'm pretty excited to see. And finally, the real main event, the Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era 3. These 4 guys always have great matches, especially for TV. This match actually ran over the 10 o'clock limit, which surprised me a bit. I guess they wanted AEW watchers to at least catch the ending. Strong helped out his brothers, but the ref watched him deliver the kick and didn't disqualify them. I feel like that could have been played out better. Anyways, the UE defended and Adam Cole joined the celebration, but not before. Tommaso Ciampa returns. He's back, finally. Another beginning to an amazing rivalry. This NXT was great and did an awesome job of setting up for future events and pay-per-view matches. Just like the USA debut, it has earned itself a perfect 10 out of 10. Smackdown was a pretty good show. Many reports had been saying that it would knock AEW's socks off, which raised my expectations, but honestly, I don't think it was that good. The show began with an entrance by Vince and Stephanie McMahon before The Rock and Becky Lynch had a few things to say to King Corbin. Afterwards, we had our first official match of the night, a rehash of Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks and Bayley. Another pretty great match from these 4. I wouldn't say it was that good, but the first one was definitely better. It ended when Flair locked in the figure 8 on Bayley and forced her to tap, earning herself a title opportunity at Hell in a Cell. The Firefly Funhouse interrupts Seth Rollins' entrance and Bray Wyatt continues his madness as he gives us a visual of what will happen to Seth inside of the cell. With Ramblin' Rabbit dressed as Rollins and Mercy the Buzzard acting as the Fiends, this delivered a pretty funny yet terrifying approach to the Sunday show. Seth then had a match against Shinsuke Nakamura, a pretty decent match, but not before the Fiend would interrupt and deliver yet another mandible claw to the Beast Slayer. Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon in a ladder match. Loser gets fired. My heart was beating through this entire match. It was pretty good with some big moves like the coast to coast onto the ladder or the elbow drop onto the commentary desk, but in the end it was Owens who saved his career and almost made me cry. I'm hoping that maybe at WrestleMania Owens will have a match and Shane McMahon will show up to beat him down, but it looks like this may be the end of Shane's in-ring career for good. Braun Strowman, The Miz, and Heavy Machinery versus AJ Styles, Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler, and Randy Orton. What a hell of a mixed match of wrestlers. This match was fine. It was mainly centered around Strowman as he pretended to throw hands with the Golden Gloves boxing champion Tyson Fury, which would lead to a bigger storyline later on as Strowman threw Ziggler into the man, and the man went to go, take a swing at him. Of course, Strowman's team would take the win, and Fury would be escorted back outside of the building. Daniel Bryan joined the commentary team for the matchup of Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan in a lumberjack match. Does anyone really care? We really just want to see Harper. The two men got thrown around a little bit, but not before Harper would arrive to stop the match. Bryan ran in to help, and in the end it led to Reigns diving and knocking over 20 men, and then the big dog and the planet's former tag team champion shaking hands. Again. The main event, the one we've all been waiting for. I called it 2 minutes before the match started, but didn't really believe it would happen. It took Brock Lesnar one F5 and a pin to end Kofi Kingston's 11-year journey, not before Rey Mysterio would arrive with a friend of his own. Cain Velasquez, the man that brutally defeated Brock Lesnar for the UFC title. I'm pretty excited for this match, seeing as there is much possibility. Fear in Lesnar's eyes, and possibly a storyline where he's the babyface. As I'd said, I don't think Smackdown met the knocking of the socks off expectation, but it was pretty good and deserved itself an 8 out of 10. Hell in a Cell. I'm sure you've all heard about what happened, so let's just get to it, I guess. First off, I just wanted to say that 4 matches were announced at 5 p.m., just an hour before the pre-show, and then were never talked about until they happened. The pre-show consisted of the 4th match between Lacey Evans and Natalya. Another good show to me, but this time ending with Evans in defeat, ending her push. Until Monday, when they have another match. The main show started off really strong and raised my low expectations a little bit. Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship inside Hell in a Cell. An exciting match that used a lot of components. Chairs, kendo sticks, ladders, you name it. In the end, after a Beck exploded onto a pile of chairs and the disarm her lock, Becky retained. Luke Harper's first official match since his return. Harper and Rowan versus Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns in a tornado tag match. This was a great match and did a lot for both teams until the end. Reigns and Bryan worked together to take down Harper before the big dog would pin him. I might have been okay with the Bludgeon Brothers losing had it been Rowan to be pinned. But they bring Harper back, he dominates for 3 weeks and then loses his first match. Did he resign or something? We then had one of those slap-together matches of Ali versus Randy Orton. Is Ali ever going to get a proper push? No. Orton pinned Ali after an RKO and continued his push. This next match went way too long and nobody really cared. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors. And I guess the Warriors are heel now. So that's a thing. In the end, Asuka used the Green Mist to blind Cross and then pinned her to become half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, even though rumor has it that the titles will be going away soon, so it doesn't really matter that you worked for 4 months to get there. Our next slap-together match was that of the OC versus the Viking Raiders and Braun Strowman, because Braun Strowman needs a push. Hey, remember when Braun Strowman made to throw hands with Tyson Fury? The match was decent, I guess. It took 5 guys to get over 1 guy, but whatever. Remember when Braun Strowman made to throw hands with Tyson Fury? I think the best part was when Styles got struck and then walked off and did the whole "where am I" shtick. Remember when Braun Strowman made to throw hands with Tyson Fury? And our final throw-together match was King Corbin versus Chad Gable. I've given my thoughts on this feud already, and I don't need to do it again. All you need to know is Gable won, and Corbin attacked him afterwards backstage. Charlotte Flair versus Bayley. Again. Nice. Yeah, a decent match, I guess. Not the best from these women, but Charlotte locked in the figure 8 and took her 10th women's title. Then we watched Bayley sit there and cry for a few hours. Sorry, minutes. Oh, God. This whole pay-per-view is just... I can't. I don't know what to do. This will be my professional review of the main event. If you want to see my unofficial, unscripted review and thoughts of this, I'll be posting a video shortly after this one releases. Seth Rollins versus The Fiend. We got that great entrance I love, but unfortunately Jerry the Idiot Lawler had to talk over it. The match started off great with a bit of back and forth action, as expected. The Fiend even got to use his Harley Quinn-like mallet. Then Seth hit him with the stomp, and The Fiend just got up, which was absolutely great. 8 stomps and a pedigree later, and The Fiend just lies in the ring, doing nothing as Seth uses ladders, chairs, and even a toolbox to keep him from kicking out. He grabs a sledgehammer, and the ref tells him not to do that. He does it, and the bell rings. The cage is lifted, and medical personnel come out with a stretcher. Seth goes to take off Wyatt's shirt, I guess, but not before Wyatt would be revived, and Mandible Claw and Sister Abigail to Seth. And that was it. In my opinion, Hell in a Cell was the worst pay-per-view of the year so far. It really felt like a Raw or Smackdown show, and the main event killed the awesome momentum WWE was finally starting to build up. It gets a 2 out of 10, and that's the lowest score I've ever had to give on this channel. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. As I said, I will be doing a video talking about the main event, and that will be posted very soon, so watch that, and feel free to also watch the AEW Dynamite discussion series. I know I said WWE videos would be released on Sundays, but I decided that after a week's build-up, a pay-per-view should be featured at the end of the week's video, and not at the beginning. So WWE Talk With Me will now be released on Mondays, 6 o'clock p.m. EST. That's all, and always remember, fight on.